Oi, oi, alright, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you. This is Doodle Review, a channel that's about all types of music, but we're alt-rock fiends first and foremost. We pretty much review something in the rock category every other day, so if that's your vibe, subscribe. You'll definitely hear me talk about a band you love in an upcoming video and maybe find something new that you don't yet know that you love. Today though, it's all about the Gaslight Anthem. Lead vocalist Brian Fallon, guitarist Alex Rosamilia, bassist Alex Levine and drummer Benny Horowitz formed the Gaslight Anthem in 2006, releasing their first record Sink or Swim in 2007. Toward the end of last year, 2023, the band released History Books, their sixth album, arriving after an on-again, off-again 7-year hiatus that started in 2015. It comes hot on the heels of quite a few releases from bands that I'd consider cut from a similar cloth. In the second half of 2023, we got new albums from Chris Cresswell, the Menzingers, and Spanish Love Songs, all of them operating in what, among friends, and we're all friends here, you might jokingly but accurately refer to as Springsteen core. Springsteen core is a phenomenon in which bands that come from punk or even hardcore beginnings gradually cross over into a big Americana sound, very much evoking that dirty hands, blue collar, meat and potatoes rock sound that pulls from country, folk, blues, rock and roll and adds a dash of aggression and a heap of romance. Dozens, hundreds of bands play in this arena, but the touchstone artist, its icon, is Bruce Springsteen, aka The Boss. Now, the difference between acts like Gaslight and say the Menzingers is that one, Gaslight have just been doing this longer, but also rather than gravitating towards this Americana sound over time, they've always been well rooted in the genre. As far back as their debut, you could hear undertones of The Boss in the gravel of Brian Fallon's voice, but also in the grandiosity and romanticism of his lyrics. It was on the band's second and most beloved album, The 59 Sound, where it hit full force though, where they shook off some of the slightly ill-fitting technical solos or rhythms that hung over the band from the punk scene they came from, and instead embraced more straightforward rock arrangements. That album was the turning point for the band in that it was their breakthrough, but also because it sparked the comparisons to Springsteen that became so persistent it would almost become a sore spot across interviews in subsequent years. Ultimately though, the Springsteen hero worship narrative that was fanned by the press would work in Gaslight's favour, opening up support slots for the E Street Band as early in their career as 2009, with Fallon getting to join the legendary live band on stage for renditions of fan favourite Boss tunes, and even Bruce himself popping up in Gaslight Anthem sets. I'm going out of my way to mention this ongoing relationship with Springsteen, this relationship that started as kind of fan fiction and slowly became canon, because on History Books it feels like both a culmination, a celebration of that very thing, but also perhaps an exorcism or purging of it. It's a celebration because old Bruce, the Boss, Springsteen himself, actually guests on this record after becoming something of a mentor for Brian Fallon, even advising him as he considered reviving Gaslight. It was Springsteen in that same conversation who suggested, apparently, that Fallon write a duet for them on whatever the latest Anthem project would become. History Books, the album's title track, is the resulting collaboration, proving to be rewarding and kind of vindicating to hear Bruce and Brian trade verses and chew the scenery over an anthemic Heartland rock chorus. In fact, their individual performances and climactic outro choruses prove to be so enthralling that while it's playing, you kind of look at the rest of the track, which is kind of simple and a bit mid, to be honest, with rose-tinted glasses, or rose-tinted earphones, I guess. But as people have suspected for years, getting this pair on a track casts such a spell that it could probably make anything sound great. The reason I say the Springsteen feature is in part an exorcism is because it feels purposefully symbolic for the band to come back after a long hiatus and almost give in to this comparison that they've been a little resistant to in the past, and to put it right up front as the second song on the album, like a kind of, look, we've done it, yes, Gaslight, Springsteen, well, he's here, alright, can we just move on? It creates space, and I certainly hear it on other parts of the record. I think it creates space for other influences to move a bit closer to the forefront, even if that isn't wholly true in reality. The E Street Band does of course still loom large over the track list, but it does feel symbolically like History Books kind of closes the chapter for the audience, expelling the spectre of Springsteen so you can start to focus on other things in their sound. And in fairness, the Gaslight Anthem do have plenty of other influences to be found in their music. The sonic fingerprints of Tom Petty, The Clash, Pearl Jam, and more straight up punk bands like Bouncing Souls or Hot Water Music are all in there somewhere, rearing their heads at certain points. But because that core Americana sound itself is a mishmash of so many styles of rock music, it easily soaks up these more diverse elements, sometimes making it hard for a band like Gaslight to appear more than one-dimensional. On this comeback album, History Books, the band brute force some really obvious musical moments to counteract this, which mostly really work. Spider Bites opens with a 70s organ-fueled riff that recalls some edgier moments of Petty and the Heartbreakers or other acts from the decade, and I Live in the Room Above Her provides a dash of grunge in the same intro spot, with a guitar and drum pattern that feels like kind of like a knowing nod to Nirvana's In Bloom. Little Fires has some really raw guitar production to give a frenetic punk energy, which is a welcome shot in the arm after the sobering Michigan 1975, which features some tender falsetto vocals from Fallon we rarely hear. Michigan and Empires push these unique characteristics to make for interesting tracks, with finger-picked guitar dueling and metronome-like delayed drum production providing a kind of indie rock flavour that touches on a band like Wilco. They're interesting but fall short of being particularly captivating. Occasionally the exploration of genre and influences uncover some sounds that should have stayed buried altogether. The Weatherman is produced and arranged like a faux rural country folk track that recalls the 2009 trend toward banjo twiddling, hay bale sitting acts like Mumford & Sons and the Lumineers, and while I really struggle musically with that track, it does highlight one of the band's and in general Brian Fallon's just amazing strengths, his lyricism. I spoke during my review of Spanish Love Songs latest about the need for romance and catharsis when covering topics of sadness, hopelessness and depression, and this romance and catharsis is something Fallon delivers in spades. The album's shining example of this comes with Autumn, which features a really beautiful sentiment with Love Goes Longer Than This Lifetime, Time Goes Faster Than My Mind, Black Jeans in Autumn. It's so good you immediately forgive the melodic through line is essentially cribbing from Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver. In total, there are aspects to this record I really love, but I feel like they rarely all happen at once on the same song. I love that intro from Spider Bites, that climax on History Books, the lyrics of The Weatherman, but by the same token, Michigan, Empires are a bit of a slog, and Weatherman and Preludes give me that wholesome cringe that slaps me like the Sunday Scaries. So on the whole, I'd give this a 5/7, but I think it's cool the band is back, and I'm interested to hear where they go from now, especially now that they've the both band and the audience have hopefully exercised that phantom of Springsteen. Alright, enough from me. What do you think? Are you Gaslight stans? Have I got this all wrong, or am I bang on the money? Let me know. I really want to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, share some thoughts, show some love, or just plain old wholesome abuse in the comments. Check out some other videos you might like down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers mate, bye.